Now, let me formally introduce you to Miss Kavita Sahai. Miss Kavita Sahai is the CEO and founder of K Sahai. It's a natural wellness and beauty brand. And I just have to tell a little bit of story. And Kavita, I hope you bear with me here. After a decade, and I love reading this story, after a decade of working in investment banking, she proclaimed, and she hit a wall, feeling unfulfilled. She found herself immersed in her Indian heritage and discovered the power of human design. She got certified in aromatherapy and help me with this word,
Ayurveda.
Ayurveda and yoga, using time tested formulas and rituals to transform herself into this joyous, vibrant person. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kavita Sahai to the show. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, Kavita?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Keith, and appreciate the generous introduction.
I appreciate you being on the show. So tell the listening public a little bit about you. Who is Kavita Sahai?
Yeah, so I'm many things. I'm a mother of three,
Okay.
Entrepreneur. I really think all things business. I'm a creator, so and I really think someone here to serve. So I've worked as a teacher. I've done mergers and acquisitions. Been a consultant. I've been an operator. I've been an investor. Still am an investor. So, and then of course an entrepreneur. So I think there's many different roles that I play that encompass me. But really, I think I am a soul on a journey, on a learning journey, and that's really who I am.
Okay. And so you heard my introduction and the historical perspective. Do you agree with some of that, the stepping stones? Did I get it right or did I get it wrong?
No, I think you did. I think it's taken a long time to spread. I think those are when the stepping stones started, but, the pervasiveness of them we're just, still starting to see. I feel like what's amazing is what was old is now new again, right? So
Ooh, isn't that the truth?
when we think of cycles and seasons and moons, there's cycles everywhere in nature. And now we're in this cycle of where Western medicine and ancient thought processes and rituals have come to the forefront once again, which is amazing to see because there is actually science behind them. We just didn't know it at the time. And so it was questioned and replaced with what we thought at the time was maybe more modern and better.
Now, I'm interested. So, were you born here in the U.S. or born abroad, or
I was born in Los Angeles.
Okay, okay. And so, when you talk a little bit about your Indian heritage, I really appreciate the cultural impact. And so, when you were leaving banking and you were thinking about starting a company, what were some of the initial challenges that you internally felt, not externally, but where were you? Because you.
Yeah, no, it was really difficult because I was making really good money. And
I understand that.
with money comes respect. And it was hard. It was hard to get to where I was. It took a lot of time and effort and, a lot of probably my health went into coming to where I am. So the decision to then step away felt like then that was it. I was saying goodbye to that chapter. And everyone around me obviously was like, "Oh, are you sure? Like it's a lot of money."
Right. I understand.
We support you no matter what you do, but that's a paycheck and a secretary and that's it's a lot of things to step away from. So of course there's a lot of self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing? And I think one of the things that I decided in that moment was to really tune into my gut.
Okay.
This career no longer lit me up. Doing these things was making me sick. I could feel it. Even though my blood work was completely normal, I knew something was wrong with me. I
No, I
wasn't
understand. I truly
functioning.
understand that.
So it became more about I'm going to have to trust my feelings and my gut and trust that it's going to be okay.
So was that a hard or easy shift to make? I say that because, the entrepreneurial journey is a one that many people are not prepared to face because you are going to truly run into yourself in many instances at every turn. And so, when you were thinking about this, is that before or after you used human design? How does the human design component come in? Am I
Sure, sure. So
okay?
the human design came in much later. It was once I had already started sort of on a wellness journey.
Okay.
To answer the question of, was it hard or easy? I was definitely one of those adrenaline junkies, jump in, jump. So in a way, once the decision was made internally, it was easy. It was just like, I'm done. I don't care. I'll figure it out. So that part was easy. And then the human design really came in. So because I wasn't feeling well, I was also one of those people who sort of talk to everybody.
Okay.
And so, and I always share, what's going on. I always say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So, in conversations with people, I was talking to this woman, she was trying to sell me life insurance. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's have coffee, let's chat. And so, as she's trying to sell me on life insurance, I'm telling her how I'm having all these issues and I'm not feeling good and brain foggy and skin and can't sleep. And she was like, and I said, I've tried everything. My blood work is fine. I've tried all these supplements. And she said, oh, there's a botanist. You should go meet her. She has this
Oh,
apothecary. And I was like, oh, okay. And so this woman made me some oils. And it was through using those oils that I felt better in within 3 months. And I had oils, by the way, at home. I had like the MLM ones and I would just throw them on different things and,
right.
whatever, but clearly didn't understand the ancient practice of medicine, of how essential oils are probably the most potent, I would say, most potent thing we have from nature. So if you think about botanicals and herbs and stuff, one drop of
Yes.
essential oil is probably 50 to 70 times more potent than that because
Wow. I didn't know that.
yeah, it takes a pound of plant material to create one drop.
Wow. Okay.
So I realized that it's actually a form of medicine in most ancient cultures. It was the original form, really, when you talk about history. And go ahead. I feel like you were going to say something.
No. I love it. And how do you apply it? Do you put it on the skin? Do you put it in your food, or is it a little bit of both?
Never, never, never put it in your food, ever, ever,
Okay.
ever. It is so potent; it can really damage, and I think it's unfortunate. There's a lot of misinformation about it being. I call it telephone. A friend tells a friend tells a friend the safety, and really it should be treated the way pharma is. Where someone only who really knows is formulating and blending and creating, because it is, again, so potent. But the best place is your pulse point, so your wrists, behind
Huh.
your ears, on your neck. And then if it's for pain, wherever you're experiencing that pain, the cool thing about oils is it bypasses your gut. So unlike everything else, which has to be absorbed, if you
It
have a
goes straight
leaky,
into the
straight
bloodstream.
into the bloodstream, exactly. So that's why I was able to feel better, because I had a leaky gut after having years of only really drinking coffee more than water, right?
Yeah, I know that.
So, so that really helped. And then I was like, oh my God, what is this witch oil? I have to, learn more about it. And so I actually ended up going in, taking over that company and growing it. But through that, I started to get really interested. And that's when I, got certified in aromatherapy and getting into other things. And through that journey, again, a random conversation with someone, they were like, oh, well, you know about the chakra system, which is from the Vedas, again, ancient
Yeah.
Indian text. They're like, well, there's this new system that kind of integrates the chakra system with Kabbalah and astrology. And I always loved astrology. So I started to get more into it. And through it, I realized there's these different energy types. And depending on your energy type, there's a different way for you to take care of yourself. So, for example, if you're a generator, you should, being on the go, doing a lot of things, which is the type that I am, that's okay for you. Like everyone's telling
Hmm.
me like, oh, you're tired. You need to, not that you're tired, that you need to rest more. But actually my energy type feeds off that kind of energy.
Oh, wow.
Whereas my
How many
girlfriend,
different types of energy types are there?
so there's really four. There's five in the sense that generator has generator and manifesting generator, which is a little bit different. But really, there's four main types of energy types.
Gotcha.
And my girlfriend, who was constantly kind of feeling this sense of burnout and getting sick, she was a different type that needed rest, where it made
Gotcha.
sense to take rest. And when she started doing that, her business grew so much more because she was actually in alignment with what would feed her energy to produce the creative and the flow in that state. And so I was so fascinated that I really wanted to incorporate that into the product I was making. And so it was like I wanted to take all these learnings and rituals of what was old and make it new again, because I really
Gotcha.
think that that's that cycle.
And was it? Did you have to first convince yourself because you were this traditional banker who I mean, when you talk about your heritage, you sometimes I would wake up and as a little boy see my mother and my father doing certain things, people in my family doing certain things. You go to college, you start working, and it's funny how you kind of come back to certain things. How
So
long did it take you to go from when you left banking to how you used all of the energy, education, and information?
yeah, so it was a slow process. It wasn't like it just turned on. It was slow. It was exactly how you mentioned. I sort of saw a lot of these things growing up. I didn't pay much attention to it. I didn't understand it. Like, why do we put our hands together? Why do we pray before we eat? Why do we do all these different things? It just never. Why do we do the dot between our eyes? Like, no one ever explains this stuff to you. So a lot of
Yeah.
times you disregard it, right? You don't give it the time because it doesn't make sense. And in our fast day life, and definitely in the life that I was in, it never made sense. So I would say it took probably 5 years.
Oh wow, that's a long
Yeah,
journey.
because it was gradual, right? So
Gotcha.
first I started with the oils. That was interesting. Then I layered on the Ayurveda stuff, and that sort of brought me more into the meaning behind stuff. And what I realized is most all ancient rituals, they're there to help you be calm. So when you put your hands together to pray, the different energy points touch, that helps you be calm, right? Even this is like one of those acupressure points. It really helps with the calmness. It's everything is there to help you be calm. And because we've come away from it, we're all walking around, I call like full soda cans, right? So the
Gotcha.
second someone does something, it shakes and you explode, right? Whereas if your
Right.
soda can was at like a quarter full or half, someone could shake it and you're not going to go crazy, right?
Right.
And so all of these practices, what they do is they really help to bring calm. And there's science to support that that's what it's doing to you naturally. And so it took me, I think I needed to know, my finance brain needed to know the reason why. Then I had to try it and
Okay.
experience it. And then I was like, yes, now I get
Okay.
it.
And at what point, and after all of that, I know you were a believer. Did you, when you started your 5-year journey, was starting a company the end result?
I think the end result was just a happier, vibrant self,
Okay.
right?
That makes
That
sense.
really that really was the end result. The end result was I now feel like I have this huge toolbox to always be in a state of calm regardless of what's happening. And I can share that with my family and friends and community. And so that really was the end result. The starting of a company was more just this feeling of I wanted to share it beyond that.
Gotcha. And so let's talk a little bit about the size of the market. Is it for oils? I mean, well, tell me more about your company. I mean, I'd love to. I mean, you have a number of products. You want to share with the listening public about Sahai?
Yeah, sure. So so there's two sides. The wellness side is the oils. And again, that's more of like a physical, emotional. And so we took the top 7 ailments that people face. So if you think about sleep, headaches, stress, muscle pain, allergies, colds, immune support, that sort of thing, detox, focus. So, and we align them also with the different chakras that they balance and color coded it. So there were sort of layers of meaning into it. So a lot of times if you're wearing a certain color, if you find yourself always attracted to a color, it could be that that chakra needs support. And so we wanted to give people that
I wear blue a lot.
availability. Okay, that's interesting. So that's your throat chakra, right? So that could be
Okay.
like, and it's interesting because that's like a need to express yourself, which is interesting because,
I have a podcast. I understand.
so but we have an oil and then you can place it. So I wanted to have different layers so that people could experience a mind, body, soul type thing. And so if it's just that you have headaches or you can't sleep, well, here's the oil. Each of them come with an affirmation. That's another thing that's come back around, right? So chanting was very popular and saying affirmations was very
Yes.
popular. And now it is again. Now people are believing and seeing that, okay, if I can say it, and when you say affirmations with oils, it really helps your limbic system, which is the emotional control center, right? Because it says like, yes, I believe this, and it associates it with the scent, and it kind of helps your whole energy being embrace that truth.
This is interesting. So when would you say that I mean, boy, I want to get into human design, but I want to ask this question too.
Okay.
So when you're marketing this to people, are you finding that your customers know about oils, and if they, well, let's start there.
So I would say most of our customers do know about oils. They aren't necessarily educated on all the parts, but our customer is the busy individual. Like I made the company thinking of myself as a target customer when I was going crazy. So I was like,
Yeah,
how do I make wellness easy, efficient, quick,
yeah.
and as effective as possible? And so they're pre-formulated. You just roll them on. The affirmation is on the box. Like you don't have to think about it too much. Now, if you have time, there's places to explore because it's meant to be an entire experience. Like on the product itself, you can take the human design quiz. You can go and explore that piece of it if you want to. But if you don't, you just use the oil, you say the affirmation, you've already done, 80% of it, right?
That's pretty phenomenal. So human design, let's talk about a little bit about that.
Sure.
Tell us what human design is and how it has impacted your transformation in the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So, human design is a system that really, as I mentioned, combines all these different ancient systems. And it basically puts us into four different energy types. And based on your
Oh,
energy type, you really can take care of yourself differently. So, and this is where it's like we're not all the same, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then further in that, it also gives you a sense of open and closed centers, which are based on the chakra system. So, if you have, for example, an open throat center, it could mean that a lot of what you believe about being able to speak your truth and communication, a lot of that is programming that you've taken from the outside because you have an open
Yes.
center. So you're taking it from the outside. And so once that you become aware of that, like this is not actually my belief, this is something that somebody else has told me. Maybe I can look at that. Maybe I can support that throat chakra and think about how I can find my voice again or and communicate better, right? So there's that piece of it. But really the human design is there's so many layers. It talks about environment. So how can you set up your space to energetically serve you based on what type of environment you're in? Similarly, how do you orient yourself in a room to again bring your energy up? So like if you're at a networking event or if you're, so there's so many different layers to the human design that I just felt like it was so great to bring people in so they could start if they wanted this journey of self-discovery. Like what am I really about? Like everyone's always like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And
Yeah, yeah.
right. And it's like, well, your purpose is actually to learn about yourself. It's to
Well
learn like
said.
what about you. And this is a really great tool to do that. And that's what I found. The more I learned about myself, I just went on this incredible self-discovery journey. And I was like, it's really not about wealth. Wealth is nice, but
It is.
it's
We need money.
it's a great perk. But the journey is really about understanding myself and my soul and what is it that I'm here to do and to serve and how best do you do that and a lot of it's intuitively and you'll know because it'll either light you up or it won't. And so there's a
Oh,
lot of
that's interesting.
practice.
So either you're going to feel good or you're not. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
Right. Well, and it depends on your energy type. So for me, for a generator, it's either a hell yes or a hell no. Right. And
Wow.
so now that I know that about my type, I can really tune in. So when someone says, do you want to do something? And I'm like, hell no. Or if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Right. So if
Gotcha.
right away I'm not like, yes, that's kind of exciting and scary or whatever, yes. But if I'm like, then it's no.
Well,
Then really
what's
it's no.
interesting? What's interesting is I never really thought about energy types. I mean, I have I have done the Myers Briggs assessments, the ENTJ, but I never really thought about energy types. I have people often tell me I'm an extrovert, I'm a type personality, but I never thought about energy. I'm a morning person. 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go to bed, which is the opposite of my wife, by the way. And so,
S-
how does
Do you know
someone?
do you know your type by any chance? I feel like you're a
No,
projector.
no,
You'll
I
have
don't know one.
you'll
How
have
do
to
I
take the
find out?
you can take the soul quiz on our website
Okay.
and it'll tell you your energy type. I'd be curious. To me, you sound like potentially you could be a projector. Also, you're very forward thinking, which that's another category. But if you think of it, we're all energy, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're either bring your energy up or down. It's like when you walk in a room full of positivity, you feel lifted, right? What is that?
I
That's
do.
it's
I do.
It's your energy being lifted. And similarly,
Yeah.
you can walk into like something really sad and all of a sudden it's draining, right? Or the wrong person can be draining and it's your energy. And so the whole system to me is about how do you vibrate at a higher frequency? And that really became the purpose. Like, how do we all vibrate at this higher frequency? Because if we're all doing that, we're going to keep increasing each other's. It becomes like a collaborative effect. It's like sometimes if you do yoga in community, it feels so much more amazing because all of a sudden everyone's energy is up and you're all vibrating at this higher frequency. So connecting to nature, the potency of being connected to these oils, it helps increase that energy. Meditation, all of these things will help increase our energy to vibrate. And human design is just that methodology of discovering for you, for your energy type, here are some different ways to experiment with bringing up that frequency.
Wow, sounds like the company is quite complex. I mean, not only are you selling, are you selling, healthy products? Is there a component of teaching to your business as well? Because you just taught me about something that I didn't know about.
Right. So
So,
the company is actually meant to be very simple, but there's layers, just sort of like the system. So you can go on, you take a wellness quiz. It's like, okay, this is the best oil for you. All you do is roll it on. Similarly, for the human design, you can take a soul quiz. You'll learn about it. You can read blog articles that are free on the website, or you can get a journey, which it'll take you through like a 30-day workflow. And then on the beauty side, we have a face oil, and you take a quiz. We use AI to determine based on where your ancestors are from. That's usually the best botanicals for you based on your skin type and skin goals. And then we create a face oil. So it's really meant to be easy, like one step beauty, one step wellness. And then the journeys and these other layers are really for the person who wants to take that extra initiative because they're in that mode. But if you're not in that mode, it's really just, okay, I'm going to roll my oil. I'm going to, say I'm peaceful and move through my day.
and so would you say that I'm curious because I did some work in the beauty industry and I know it's growing and we care about how we look. And we also care about how we feel. Um, if you want to talk about numbers, which side of your business is bigger, the oils or the beauty brand?
So the oils are a bigger side of our business, and that's because that we also have a B2B side. So
Oh,
the custom face oil is purely straight to customers because it is custom. It's personalized face
oh
oil.
wow.
But
Okay.
the wellness oils we sell in through spas and retail. So that is thereby that part is bigger.
Okay. Wow, this is interesting. And so, what does as you think about growth, how do you look at the marketplace?
So I think customers are more and more getting aware of personalized trends. So I actually think the face oil and that is going to become a larger part of the business. I think people want things that are made for them. They're no longer into this one size fits all solution, especially in beauty. I think inclusivity and diversity has become finally the
Oh yeah.
forefront. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I can just remember being traumatized by pantyhose that looked ridiculous on me and now you have all these different colors, right? Or like or makeup that I just looked completely, crazy. And now, now it's amazingly this other world. So I think we've really come a long way. But I do think this next step is really looking at who are you, what are the ingredients you need, especially in face oils and serums. Because if you
Mm,
think about how much there is, like it's a tiny bit, right? It's a small
yeah.
1 ounce
Yeah.
bottle. So
Yeah.
how much can you really put in there? That's going to be really
Gotcha.
effective, right? By
Gotcha.
the time you have conservatives and you're trying to make it for everybody, you're not really getting any of that potent botanicals in there. You just, especially, I love when companies have like 30 ingredients. You're like, okay, in 1 ounce, 30, like how much are you sprinkling it? Like, what does that even look like, right? So, I'm a big believer. You can take 4 to 5. I think any more than that, you're really losing the efficacy of any given botanical that you're putting in there or oil
Well,
and
it's what's
personalizing
interesting.
it.
Yeah, when I think about when I think about the beauty industry, my history is that when I look at ethnicities and women of color looking for certain branded products, and you look around and you see people like Rihanna or Kim Kardashian or I'm not since I don't use them, I might be forgetting your brand. Women of color and people appreciate them. I also know that men are starting to use some of these too. I would be interested in the medicinal side of things because I do have pain. I am getting older, and I do believe that um, you can take some holistic wellness products that can do you quite good. I believe in positive thinking. I have entered the room where it was nothing but doom and gloom. The energy was so negative that you just felt it. You can feel it.
You
So
can.
yeah. So is it taxing to personalize biotanicals and other products for certain groups of people? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a business challenge for sure, but it was one that I really believed in. Once I made the discovery that I was like, oh wow, these oils work better for these people that are from there. Like they really need to have it. We just work through some of the operations around it, but I love learning. I love challenges. I think to me, it's more exciting when there's
No,
something to work through.
and let's get into a little bit of the traditional uh, business side of this. So you mean you could be a multimillionaire funding your business yourself, but I'm going to assume that you've had to raise money. Has it been a challenge to talk to folks who have more of an Eastern traditional perspective and may not appreciate some of the health benefits or perspective that you come from?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can say human design to someone and they look at me like I'm some kind of witch, right? That still exists.
Okay.
Right? You can see people's eyes kinda glaze over, and so there's
Because
definitely a
they're
little bit of
unfamiliar.
yeah,
Right. They're
no, it's
unfamiliar.
just no, you gotta know your audience, and that's when I'm like, "It's really just easy wellness on the go," right? You sort of have to get a sense of where people are at in their journey, which every place is totally fine. But I think just being a woman, it's really hard to raise money, right? I think there is
Yeah.
a lot consumer products is not a industry that's traditionally even, very well funded, even though the profit comes right away. There's proof of concept right away. They'll still bet on a tech company that has potential of like making money, right? So there's a lot of pieces in the dynamics, but I find with raising money, it's a numbers game, right? You have
Hmm.
to be
Hmm.
okay reaching out. You have to be okay with rejection and feedback and just continue to try until something lands.
Yeah, and and so good luck to you. And because I would assume, having had to raise money myself, that you're educating all the time, and I think people are listening. I think it's difficult because you have some left brain, right brain people who, when you say human design, you've lost them and they'll never get them back. But then you have those folks that are intellectually curious who, and I find it difficult that if you're in healthcare, you can't be closed down because everything is about learning and putting a clinical trial out or testing something to see if it works. And so, uh, do you have any stories of aha where you've went to someone and they've said no, and or they've asked you to try something and they came back and said yes? Um, any stories of triumph?
I can just remember when I was in a potential investor meeting and they were like, "No, this isn't going to work." And I'm like, "Oh wait, you didn't get to the next slide, which is the financial slide. Like we're doing amazing. People love our oils." And then they're like, "Oh, okay." Then it's like people like that need numbers to sort
I
of
see.
prove. Oh, there are other people who really believe in this Wawa stuff, or whatever it is, and then they're interested. But honestly, to me, I don't want an investor that's so far away from the path of any of this because it's just not going to be well aligned, right? So I think yes, we need money from sometimes whomever you can get it from, but I will tell you one of the lessons I've learned painfully early was it really does matter who you take money from, and you do smart money is worth its weight in gold compared to just dumb money. So
Yeah.
I really think it's very telling how people respond, but numbers people want numbers. So give them numbers, market research, right? I always present them. The market is huge. It's many billions of dollars. So it's
So the
always good to
market,
look at that.
so the market potential for your space is how large is it?
It's over a $20 billion market. Yeah, it's a
That's
huge market. Now, I
wow.
will say the MLMs definitely take up a big piece of that, but there's still plenty.
Who takes up? I didn't hear that piece.
Multi-level marketing. So
Yes,
there's
yes.
there's 2 large multi-level marketers, and they definitely take up a big piece of that space.
And how what's the price point of one of your oils? Just
30
curious.
yeah, $35.
Oh, that's not bad. How large?
It's
Because you
8
said,
ml. Yeah, it's 8
yeah,
ml. Yeah. So
okay.
it'll last usually, I would say 3 months easy.
That's oh, good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you. And so, how do you balance growing your company and this newfound joyous person that you or you're workaholic now, like you were when you were an investment banker? What's the balance?
No, I think the problem was I went into investment banking right out of college. I didn't have any tools to relax. And so I mean, I don't work those same hours in any case, but even when I do have to work a lot of hours, I have so many practices now that I can put into place to keep myself calm. So I'm not so easily triggered. I'm a quarter to half soda can, not a full one walking around, right? So if someone cuts me off or, shoves me to get the last croissant, I'm okay. I'm like, all right, here, you need it more than I do. It's fine. And so I think just having those tools, I'm able to be in the same state. So it almost doesn't matter. I think even if I did go back to investment banking and working crazy hours, I wouldn't be as burnt out because I now have those tools, the oils, affirmations, meditations. Like I have the ability to stay in a more calm space.
Gotcha. And so, what advice do you have for someone who is starting their journey in the wellness and skincare industry?
I would say if it's your passion, just keep going. You're going to get a lot of no's, but it just sometimes take one or two really big yeses to completely transform, right, your company's trajectory. So my best advice is practice what you preach. So,
Okay.
you make sure you really use it and believe in it because that's the only way you're going to stay in it because it's definitely difficult. There's definitely it's a very crowded marketplace. And when you're trying to educate the marketplace on all the different, how you're doing it the right way compared to competitors, it can sometimes be somewhat of an uphill battle.
It's interesting. I didn't know it was a crowded marketplace. How do you differentiate yourself?
So it's two things. One is quality. So we only use first press. So when I was mentioning that pound of material to make one drop,
Yeah,
people will continue to press that same
I see.
plant to
I see.
extract the essential oils, but we always take the first press and we're organic or wild crafted. And then the carrier oil we use is an organic jojoba, which is best for absorption. So quality. And then the second part is formulation. So just as I mentioned, you know, it really is like regular medicine in the sense that the formula matters, right? Or like a recipe, right? I can give you 3 ingredients and I can give a great chef 3 ingredients, and what he makes is going to be very different than what, maybe you or I make. And so similarly, our formulator, she has her undergrad and graduate in aromatic medicine. She's a published author. So
Oh
Lindsay
wow.
Moliere. Yeah. So she's incredibly well versed. I feel like that is really the differentiation. It's the formula and qualities. When you have amazing quality and an amazing formula, that's when you're going to get the results that you need.
And I didn't know it was as large as it is. um, are you finding that some of the traditional pharma companies are starting to utilize or co-partner or collaborate with people like you?
I wish. No, no, they're trying to shut everyone down by saying, you can't say this. You didn't create the same clinical
Uh,
trial that I did. So, no, I think they're scared, right? Because what they do is they keep you on medicine, right? Like take this thyroid medication forever, or take this one other medication forever. And what the oils and everything else that we're trying to do in more of this ancient practice is to get your body to do what it always could have done, which is heal itself, do itself. Even with the beauty and face oils, it's really to support your own skin because your own skin can clean, exfoliate, and moisturize all on its own. It doesn't need
wow.
any other product.
You ought
But
to say that again because I need that.
yeah. Yeah, no, I'm serious. Your own skin doesn't need any other product. It can literally do everything on its own, but it's been so polluted that all the electrical pulses in our body are not talking to each other because of the fragrance and chemicals and everything we're exposed to. And so we get into this cycle of dependency versus natural, oils and natural products help support your own system so that it can do what it does best, with the idea of being at some point you just do it on your own. You don't even need anything, right? So simplifying that process. And so I think unfortunately incentives aren't quite aligned in that way.
Well, I'm excited for you because I come from the healthcare industry. I worked for Abbott for a long time, and on the diagnostic side, on the therapeutic side, I've helped to bring some of the newest products to market. And when I look around now, you're right. We have some tested products, but I know in other cultures they use natural remedies to solve so many things. And we've heard it. We hear it here. You are what you eat. Your health can be improved or negatively impacted by what you put in your body. And
Or on your
so
body.
yeah. And so it's interesting to hear that they're trying to close you down. So, um, are there other challenges that you face as you move further into 2024?
I think there's the only other challenge I could think of is the this need that we're showing all these people on Instagram and different social media platforms of looking a certain way, right? And that really takes you away from natural beauty and natural being to more makeup, more that. So I think that's an unfortunate trend that I'm starting to see a little bit of, but I don't think it really affects our business because the people who want the natural healing and a good product. At the end of the day, if your skin is healthy, you look great. So that's doesn't really matter. But yeah.
So when you look at the United States, I'm just curious, how do you think of, how do you market across this country? Is it mainly, do you have a sales team? Is it all online? What's the process
So
for
both.
you?
So we have an online presence as well, and then we also have a sales team that we sell mostly into spas. So we have a
Okay.
back bar that massage therapists can use to then go through to retail.
And so what does the future look like for K Sahai Company?
Um, I think the future is going to be beyond product experiences. So, bringing a lot of the experiences I told you with human design and those rituals into wellness centers and spas so that people who want to, can really immerse themselves into a whole mind, body, soul experience. So we have programming and we are starting to work with spas on that. But I think in the future, I would love for that to just be the standard. It's really meant to be an experience and community building because I really think at the end of the day, we really crave connection. And so if we can
Oh, yeah.
curate events around mind, body, soul with other people, then again, it's the energy and the resonance, right? So like if everyone's energy, coming at a higher energy, we're all lifting each other up, then that's really the goal.
And did the pandemic help or hurt your business?
Hurt because I sell to spas.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a very, very good
Yeah,
point.
our online
Well,
business did really well, but not enough to offset the spa.
and so how do people reach you? I mean, we only have a couple more minutes left here. And so how can the listening public reach you or your products?
Yeah, so the website is ksahai, ksahai.com. You can take your soul quiz, as I mentioned, and get your human design or skin quiz. And then on social, we're at Love Ksahai.
Love Kiss. Okay. Well, great. Well, listen, um, thank you for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best in what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, please celebrate and go use K Sahai products. Thanks for listening to The Next Big Thing. I'm your host, Keith D. Terry. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support this podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and a review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on my YouTube channel at Keith D. Terry. If you want to recommend a guest, please email me at info@terryperformancegroup.com. This has been produced by your host and Jade Productions.